Good morning to you. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Terrific Tuesday, January the 23rd, as we are barreling down to the end of this month. You guys may be noticing a little something. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm just going to tell you something real quick. You know, I grew the mustache out. Kind of just because I had to. First and foremost, I did it because I wanted to. I'll start with there for the month of November, right? And then I begrudgingly held on to it in the month of December. And then when I finally cut it off, I kind of felt like, oh man, I got no hair anywhere. So so I'm gonna try to do a little something. I'm gonna go to some old school Montel, kind of things. Where I'm gonna go no, I want to say R. Kelly because we don't speak on him anymore. But some old school Montel Jordan, well, either one, actually, either Montel you want to choose. I'm about to go old school Montel with this thing eventually and get this whole thing cleaned up. So bear with me as I go ahead and try to get these things knocked down. Welcome back to the Old Fashioned Sports Show. I'm your host, Anwar Richardson, your favorite uncle here from the hours of 9 to 10. Got a fun show. Lots of good topics to talk about. And at 9:30, make sure you get your recruiting questions ready because Jason Sukamel. First of all, we got to make sure Jason is off his deathbed. So let's start there. Last week was a struggle bus for Jason, man. He couldn't make it through. So let's first and foremost, let's hope that Jason is actually amongst the land of the living, which I believe that he is. And then we're going to, all your recruiting questions that you have, all the recruiting topics that are there. Texas has got some recent commits, so I can talk to him about that. Recently had Junior Day, so there'll be plenty of meat on the bone as relates to everything that's happened in Junior Day and a look ahead. So Tuesday is kind of a cool, chill recruiting day kind of thing. So get ready for Jason Sukamel in the 9:30 hour. Let me go ahead and say what's up to some of the people who are here early in the chat. I always like to acknowledge y'all. You're the early risers who are in here. Bobby from Bobby and Whitney. He is here, number one in the chat. Oh, look at you, Bobby. Go ahead and I see you, Bobby. Good morning to you. Tell your beautiful I almost said fiance. Tell your girl I said hello. Sandman22, good morning to you. Pet Rooster. He said 95 minutes to go. I better check out and come back later for the quality knowledge drop from up onward. Oh yeah, you must have got in early. These are the first people in the chat. You guys see these people, they leave their messages and they come back later because they want to be either number 1, 2, or 3. So good morning to you guys. Text God number 2 is in here. Chris Bennett, the original OG of the super fans, is in here. Redolfo talking about that bag. Jared's in the house. Good morning to you, Jared Neal. Hope you're doing well. Doug G is in the house. ATX Big Rich is in here. Mark is in here as well. He says the skies are gray, but it could be worse. It could be a Sooner. Ain't that truthful? Ain't that truthful? It's an interesting choice that you got to make in life, and sometimes we all choose badly. And so, but good morning to you, Mark. It's good to be here as well. Just another fragrance reviewer is in here. Good morning to you. I'll put on some little Versace cologne. Just another fragrance reviewer. That's what I had on. I got my little Versace on. So you got to let me know what you think of that thing. But just another fragrance reviewer actually has a YouTube channel where he actually reviews fragrances. Really cool stuff. If you're into like colognes or want to be into those kind of things, like he's got a good channel but he's doing stuff. So make sure you check him out. Show him some love and support as well. Come on, fellas. We can come out of the where you get your normal colognes from, no more Stetsons for you, no more Aqua de Jours, what I'm saying? Like let's step our game up, all right? My main man Corleone is in the house. BK817 Stark still at the craps table. Absolutely. Sam Hayes is in here to this morning. Not hard for me to say, apparently, Sam, but good morning to you. Always good to see you there. Longhorn Football Edits, good morning to you. Longhorn Football Edits has got, I'm shouting out everybody. Longhorn Football Edits has a nice Instagram website. I say it's a website, Instagram page that if you'd like to look at cool edits from people, Longhorn Football Edits has that. So Longhorn Football Edits, you can feel free to drop that. I'll let you go ahead and promo it if you want to, but go ahead and drop that in there for Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. But he's got I was looking through his stuff the other day, really good variety of things. Brandon is in here. Chad Gibson is in here. Gabe is in here. Mike Torres. What you think about the Mbappe, Mike? What do you think about the Mbappe, Mike? I know not everybody likes him, but I'm rocking it today. Lamarck Harper is in the house. Kevin H is in the house. Money B, we always in the building. Disbanded Brotherhood. I like that one. In the house. Made me think of Band of the Brothers. So that movie. So good morning to you. Sark is going to get Kyle Henderson to enter the portal. Poor Kyle. I'm glad about for Kyle. I'm glad that Kyle had a chance to build up his empire before this thing happened. Because anybody else now that wants to go into Tuscaloosa and start something, good luck. Good luck. So I'm glad, shout out to Kyle, who was able to build his empire and get a stranglehold on everything Alabama related because, but boy, I tell you what, I sure hope Steve Sarkisian has that run of success that Saban had. Because boy, we get this channel up to 100,000, that'd be amazing. So come on, Sark, no pressure. We're just trying to pay our bills off your back. No pressure. We're just trying to send our kids to college off and back. There's no pressures. Let's see. Kevin H is in here. Let's see. DC Dale Coleman is in here. I should have been number 2. We got some fluky stuff going on. Oh man, I'm sorry about that. Come on back tomorrow. You got this thing. Whitey Tighties for life. Okay. Good morning to you. That sounds gross. Aqua Di Gio is still a banger. Come on, just another Vegas reviewer. You gotta be kidding. You gotta be kidding me. And make sure you let Money B know what's his YouTube channel so one person can support another. But put that thing in there. You guys can do that today. I'm in a good mood. Go ahead and support your channels, everything like that. There's no competition. It's all love between everybody here. So we all family. We all support each other. And speaking of support, we got to support our main man, El Presidente, Eric Torres. He's in the house. Speaking of houses, you want to buy a home, sell a home, El Presidente, he's got you covered. If you're looking for a house in the DFW area, you're good. I got you. That's my dude right there, El Presidente. Got to make a note to myself. I'm going to probably bring him on for Friday. I got to make a note to myself to bring El Presidente on for Foolishness Friday. I see if someone said Tom Ford. Where's Tom G been? I haven't even seen Tom G lately. What's he been up to? I think he was there. Maybe he was there on Monday for Overreaction Monday. I don't know where everybody's at. Where's South End Zone Queen? She disappeared. Where's all my peoples at? Where y'all at on a Tuesday? Hopefully you're buying a house from Eric Sells Homes DFW. Make sure you hit him up and check him out. Eric Sells Homes DFW, man with the master plan. He has got you covered. All right, so I saw something that I thought you guys, when you mentioned the Sooners, right? And I saw something that I thought you guys would really enjoy. I tweeted it out this morning, but there's an article in the spun.com. Good website. Good website. No website. Of what the websites that are left, golly. I mean, dropping like flies in this industry, boy. I don't even know, boy. Y'all might see me in another 6 years, man. Just make sure you give me a 5-star rating on as an Uber driver is all I gotta say. Make sure you all right, you get 5 stars. Give me a look. Don't give me 20%. Give me like 25 because I won't really need it at that time. I'm trying to speak it in my life, but the industry is tough. But the Spun, they got a really good website, and they came out with something that I thought was really interesting. And it came out with the 5 most miserable fan bases in all of sports, not just football or basketball or anything. Everybody combined. And good morning, Blake. And you know who was at number 4 for one of the most miserable fan bases in all of sports? Texas A&M. Texas A&M, your Aggies. And I say that obviously with tongue in cheek, came in at number 4 as one of the most miserable fan bases in all of sports. Not talking Red Sox, Yankees, Cowboys, Giants, all that kind of stuff. Aggies, number 4. Here's what they had to say. Said that the Aggies like to act like they're a national championship program. And they've certainly spent like it, but that has not resulted in any legitimate success on a national scale. So Texas A&M gave one of the most richest contracts in coaching history to Jimbo Fisher, but that failed miserably, leading to his firing. Perhaps Mike Elko will change things around. I was like, yeah. Like, how? I mean, that's so. I'll be honest with you. I like. We always like to make fun and poke fun at people, but that was such a random shot. I see someone asked me about somebody else. So number 5. So just so you know, on this list, number 5 was the Cleveland Browns. Number 4 was Texas A&M. Number 3 was the New York Mets. Number 2 was the Minnesota Vikings. And number 1, Paul, Buffalo Bills. So one Buffalo, 2 Minnesota, 3 the Mets, 4 Texas A&M, 5 Cleveland Browns. Ouch. Just remember that when they start talking. Just remember that when they start talking to you. Remember that when they start popping off. Just remember all of that's there. So anyway, I thought you guys might get a kick out of that. That was what Unk's here to do, to make you laugh and smile. Here's another interesting thing, though. And Blake has the graphic here, something that we can actually sit down and discuss for a second here. Quinn Ewers, Heisman odds. FanDuel came out with this. By the way, that's a really good graph. That's a really good graph. Let me tell you real quick, just so we're clear. FanDuel didn't do that. Blake did that. FanDuel just had the odds. Blake actually went ahead and added in everybody else in there. So just so we're clear. Anyway, so shout out to him for that. A really nice looking graphic. So obviously it's early. It's January the 23rd. And so, of course, these things are going to change. But Heisman odds right now, according to FanDuel, got Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck tied at this moment at a plus 750. Dylan Gabriel in his 18th year of eligibility. It's like going to be Dylan Gabriel and Casey Thompson playing forever. I think Casey going to be playing when my kids go to college, man. Like that's how long Casey going to be playing. But you got Dylan Gabriel at that plus 100. You also got Will Howard and Jalen Monroe at that plus 1,200, which, yeah, I mean, at that point, you're just throwing away money at that point. You can see the guys filling out the rest. The only other guys that know, Jackson Arnold at a plus 1,800, which, I mean, yeah, and Jackson Dart at a plus 1,800 as well. Not pictured is Connor Weigman at a plus 2,000. Cade Klubnik, who we all remember from Westlake over there at Clemson. How about him at a plus 3,000? And here's even the crazier one. I got one that's even crazier for you. Are you ready? For all the hype that's out there, how about Shedeur Sanders at a plus 4,000? 4,000. Quinn Ewers is at a plus 750. Shedeur Sanders at a plus 4,000. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. But it speaks to, thank you, Blake. What it speaks to is that as we start thinking about this season and start shaping our expectations of what this is going to be, first and foremost, this shows how smart Quinn and his people were to decide, you know what, let's come back for another season. Because it would have been very easy to jump out this year and then to see what happens, see what comes out of the draft. And look, who knows what would or wouldn't happen. There's a certain, obviously, things that are out there. And by the way, what's a catch mentioning on the Slack channel? Because I saw something that said something's official. Is there breaking news somewhere that's out there at this moment that we need to know about? I just sort of said something in general that's out there. All right, hold on. It just popped up on my end. Hold on 1 second, guys. I just want to make sure it says it's official, and he put an Instagram link in there.
It is confirming that the Arizona DT Savea has signed with Texas.
Ah, here we go. Well, breaking news. Can you get that graphic together for us, Blake, so we can see that? Yeah, appreciate that. But breaking news, as it happens here on the show, Texas has now received the commitment. Oh man, how am I going to say this young man's name at this moment? And and it's going to be the timing is going to be even better when it's all said and done, because Texas picks up a defensive lineman, a defensive tackle out of Arizona. I just do not know. It's like
It's Tiaoalii Savea.
How did you? Wow, thank you. Listen, and it's crazy because I don't hear anything. It's just like Blake is like the sound of God that comes in here, and it's just like Tiaoalii Savea. Just kind of a lighter God that's in here. But yes, as we, again, this is the thing we've been talking about. We'll put that conversation, back for a second. Somebody asked us yesterday that said, I think it was not only yesterday, I think it was on Friday when I had my show. It's someone that said something about defensive tackle. You guys remember this? And someone asked, well, what's Texas going to do at the defensive tackle position? And I said on that show, I said, hey, look, at the end of the day, I believe that Sark's going to get it done. Just is what it is. Like, I believe he's going to get it done. Whatever needs to get done, it'll happen. And I said, I'm not going to sit here and worry and fret over this thing. The man's got a plan. The man's attacking the portal. So I 100% see it. Go ahead, Blake. You say you want to go ahead and share it? Good morning, Tom G. That's good. No, it's all good. You just let me know when you're ready, Blake. I don't know what's going on with Restream. Restream making Blake look bad, but it's not Blake. It's Restream. It's a product here because he had something ready to go. But there you go. Maybe just how about I just take myself off of that? There you go. Make it make it look a little bit easier. Tell me the name again, Blake. Pronounce it for me. Make it sound good.
Tiaoalii Savea.
What Blake said. Tiaoalii Savea is coming here to Texas. I'm gonna get some of the I know he entered the last season on the Polynesian college football player to watch list. He was just in, obviously, for an official visit that you guys may or may not know about. But then, as they're looking for a person to replace Byron Murphy and replace T'Vondre Sweat, well, there you go. There you have it. Here he is, Tiaoalii. And so we'll have more, obviously, on him But Texas gets the defensive tackle in the portal that you guys have been asking about, been wondering about. When's Sark going to do it? When's Sark going to pull the trigger? When's it going to happen? It just happened. This is why I went back to everything I said on Friday, which is, hey, when hold on 1 second. Blake, do you me a favor? Ask Ketch if he wants to hop in and talk about him real quick. Can you send me Ketch a message? Wondering that. I want to know if he just wants to get on here, because maybe we can just do an instant reaction to it as he kind of goes there. But as Texas was talking about getting that, as we talked about, wide receiver position of need, tight end position of need, defensive tackle position of need, and you guys have been asking, when are you going to get one? When are you going to have one? There you go. There it is. It has happened. There it is. So let's do this, Blake. Let's go to a quick break. And then let's go to a quick break. Let's get everything sorted out on our end. And we'll talk more about this breaking news that we have. Let's do it.
This Orange Bloods recruiting flashback focuses on one of the biggest UT football stars of the last decade. Bijan Robinson was a 5-star prospect by rivals when he signed with the Longhorns, finishing as the nation's number 18 overall prospect, the second best prospect in the state of Arizona, and the number 1 running back in the country, according to Rivals.com. Upon retrospect, it's kind of amazing that former running backs coach Stan Drayton was able to land Robinson when you consider that Ohio State was perceived as a massive leader for much of his recruitment. In fact, on the day he committed, Rivals.com recruiting analyst Adam Gorney told Orange Bloods, quote, "Even after the Atlanta 5-star challenge, it almost felt like Ohio State was the foregone winner," Gorney said that day. But as it got closer, I think the realization that he would basically be going across the country to play football kind of set in. He really, really liked Texas and USC a lot, had connections to both schools, liked the staffs, and how they would use him, and wound up finding a school closer to home that he was very happy with. It wasn't until Robinson visited Texas on an unofficial visit for the spring game in April that Texas began to make it surge. By the time June rolled around, a couple of months later, the Longhorns had emerged as a team to beat in his recruitment. Robinson was a part of a 2020 recruiting class that finished 14th in the nation that year in the Rivals.com rankings, and what turned out to be the final full recruiting class for Tom Herman. A few years later, and there's not a ton of meat on the bone with respects to the elite prospects from that year outside of Robinson. Jake Majors and Jaron Thompson remain as a few of the higher ranked players in that class, but it's actually 2 of the lower ranked prospects in the class, Jahdae Barron and Jalen Ford, that have made the biggest impact as the class begins to wrap up its contribution to the Texas football program.
Specs, you want to do specs, Blake, as well? Hey, listen, if you guys are looking to celebrate and know that Texas has picked up another person, a defensive tackle, you got to go out to Specs today, or just in GP, just because you need to. But Specs has got you covered. They got all the best beers, the wines, and the spirits. They got the best prices on everything that you are looking for. Plus, they deliver. You ain't got to leave your house. Just go ahead, enter in all the information that you need, and then have that thing waiting for you at your door. Blake, let everybody know what Specs has in store for them.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
And cheers to you, and cheers again, one to Steve Sarkisian. Jeff Ketchum is going to join us on the show pretty quickly to give us kind of almost an instant reaction, instant analysis as to why this is important. Jason Sukumel will be here in the next 5 minutes. So all of a sudden, guys, we've got, listen, I'll save some of the Quinn Ewers stuff for tomorrow, but we'll break into what's most important and what needs to be discussed as relates to recruiting, guys. So I'm going to bring in all the recruiting heavy hitters to come in here to have that discussion. But again, like I said, it just goes back to when it comes to Steve Sarkisian in the transfer portal, when we start saying like this is what he does, and when we had the conversation on Friday, and it's like, hey, you're asking about it, I'm like, hey, at this point, whatever he's going to get, whoever he's going to get, and there's no need to worry about. I'm literally sitting in the passenger seat with my hoodie on and letting Steve Sarkisian do what he needs to do. Once again, he has pulled the trigger. So yes, let's go ahead. Let's go to the Speakeasy Lounge because I think Ketch really likes it when we play the music. So let's go to the Speakeasy Lounge. Let's bring in Jeff Ketchum. Let's have some instant reaction to the latest Texas commit. Well, good morning, Ketch.
Good morning. And by the way, like officially, it's a signee, not a commitment. Like one of the things I kind of like about this guy is he didn't wait. He didn't put out an announcement video or anything like that. He just signed.
He just done. Like there's no hype, no anything.
He wasn't trying to pick up extra followers on social media. He just made the decision, signed, and UT actually, although I think much anticipated, they're the ones that technically break the news because he didn't say anything to anybody.
All right, well, Catch, break it down for everybody because he was obviously just in, for an official visit, what was it, just about a couple of days ago? So what was it, like over the weekend, I believe, Catch? And then here he is just a couple of days later. We know it's a position of need. We've been talking about the defensive tackle position. Give me your thoughts and analysis on what Texas was able to do, the latest transfer portal acquisition by Steve Sarkisian, who is still on the table, Catch, in my analogy. He's on a hot streak, and he still is not coming off this table.
Well, Steve Sarkisian looks at his football team and thinks it has holes or places of areas of needed improvement that the portal can help get them there. And, if you looked at this team in the middle of October and November and started asking yourself, well, if all of the guys go pro that we think are going to go pro, what does it mean for this roster? And I think given the schedule that's in front of Texas, and I think it was something that crossed everybody's mind when the SEC schedules got released. It was like, well, this is daunting. Let's see. In addition to the A&M and Alabama, or the A&M and Arkansas games and the Georgia game and Michigan on the road, like you can see some potential losses in there with the way the roster was set up. And I think Steve Sarkisian is like, I'm not really here for the 8-4, 9-3 stuff. So he's boosting the depth of this team and the quality, I think, at the top of the roster, certainly in the starting positions at a number of areas on the field. But I think this is one of those areas where you can look at this guy. And by the way, I've tried to practice the name. Last name, Savea. First name, Tiaoalii. So Tiaoalii Savea. He's a guy that, it's funny. Alex did a real deep dive on him, watching 3 of the games from last year. And from a productivity standpoint, he's night and day better than a guy like Trill Carter was a year ago for the Longhorns. I think one of the real interesting things about this Arizona team, that new co-defensive coordinator, linebackers coach, Johnny Nansen, coming from Arizona to Texas, Arizona's defensive line wasn't Texas good, but if you take Texas out of the equation, I think Arizona is in the conversation for maybe a top 5, top 10 type defensive line from last season. It was deep. It had quality players. And Savea is a guy that was in that mix, played about 35% of the downs. And listening to Alex break this down yesterday and his column on Orange Bloods today, he's a really good player, really productive. 6 tackles for loss last year, 1.5 sacks. I think he's a better version of Trill Carter, whatever that means. And Trill Carter was a guy that played 25% of the defensive snaps in 2023 for the Longhorns. I think this is probably an upgrade of Trill Carter. I still think they're looking for a nose tackle, but they got a little bit better today on the defensive line. I think this guy's going to play a lot of snaps. I think it's a strange deal and that Johnny Nansen this guy is here for Johnny Nansen. And he was at UCLA because of Johnny Nansen. And when he went from UCLA to Arizona, he followed Nansen there. And now that he's gone to Texas, this guy's followed him to Texas. So this really is, I think that Johnny Nansen's going to have a big say in this Texas defense. And I think from a talent standpoint, from a personnel standpoint, this is definitely a call that Nansen helped makes. And so here we are, the Longhorns. I don't think it's it's not Walter Nolan. We're not talking about a guy that's projected to be a day one guy in a year from now in the NFL draft, but he was a really good player for Arizona a year ago. And I think Johnny Nansen knows he's at Texas. This is a team trying to make its way into the playoff and play for a national championship. And this comes with his seal of approval.
Come on in, Jason Sukumel. Let's bring you in for the conversation. Jason, first of all, good morning to you. First of all, are you on death's door or have you recovered, Jason?
I'm still got my cough drops handy just in case, but I think I'm better, Omar. Thank you.
Okay, so as long as you can last this segment, we're good. Jason, give us your reaction. I just heard what Ketch had to say. Give us your reaction on the Texas pickup.
Depth piece to me. I think Ketch broke it down pretty well. I mean, I would probably agree is an improvement over Trill Carter, so you lose one going out, one comes in. This one doesn't move the needle for me a ton, and I didn't think we'd be discussing this morning. Ketch and I both kind of knew he'd probably be committing. We both had our stories written, but honestly, I wrote my story and I just looked at the stats. I haven't gone back and looked at his film and things. It sounds like, Alex maybe did and maybe Ketch. Stats certainly don't blow you away, but it was a pretty good Arizona defense. He was able to, was he a starter at Arizona, Ketch?
He started 3 games last season, but it looked like he was mostly their first kind of piece off the table.
Which he might be at Texas too, first or second piece, coming off the bench. But, Texas needs bodies in the interior defensive line. I mean, that was a big goal of theirs kind of in the stretch run leading up to the December signing day. They were trying to sign different guys. They lose DeAndre Robinson. So they even more so now than even in December, they need interior defensive linemen. So, I don't think this is, I don't want to downplay it and poo-poo it. I don't think this is a commitment that's going to cause Texas to win another game or, elevate my win prediction for Texas next year. But it's an important piece that can certainly play a role for that Texas defensive line.
So for you, Ketch, there's still bigger fish out there to fry for you as relates to this?
I mean, well, Jabbar Muhammad, if we're talking about just in general, yes, there are bigger fish to fry. I think that, I'm looking at Alex's breakdown. By the way, it's fantastic. I may see if Jason can just make the whole thing free and we'll get it out on social media. I think it's a really good breakdown on who we're talking about as a player right now when we talk about Savea. I think it's important to note last year at Arizona in the game. So Alex evaluated 3 games. In the 3 games that he looked at, 2 games, 69% of his snaps came at the 3-tech. 11 snaps came with him heads up on the tackle. So 80% of his snaps are 3-tech, 4-tech. And I think that's kind of who he is as a player. When you look at this Texas roster, that it's kind of who Alfred Collins is, although he can play a little bit further outside, probably more 5 technique than this guy. He only played 8% of his snaps at nose tackle, less than 5%. So they're not automatically filling this void by bringing in Savea. He's a guy that looks like over the course of a game can kind of play everywhere in the interior of the defensive line, but most of his focus is in areas where Vernon Broughton's kind of a like for like, definitely Trill Carter in terms of where these guys line up. I think what Texas really needs is a starting level nose tackle. And I don't think that's what Savea is. He's a guy that might be better than what Texas, Is he better than Alfred Collins? Well, I don't know that I would go that far, but when you look at Alex's numbers of snaps per disruption, this guy's snaps per disruption and limited playing time was on par with Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat when you look at it last season. Much better than Alfred Collins. Does that mean he's better than Alfred Collins? No, but it might mean he's better than Vernon Broughton. It might mean that he's better than all of the other options that Texas has. When I look at this guy, he's going to play a lot. Is he an impact guy? Is he a player that's going to change the record of this Texas team from what it otherwise would have been? Probably not, but it's easy to see why they like him. They need numbers. They need guys that are proven. This guy playing in the Pac-12, fairly proven, fairly productive. Maybe not quite as athletic as a guy like Jamari Caldwell, who Texas had targeted. I think for the same position, you wouldn't have looked at Jamari Caldwell and automatically thought that that's a guy that would have played a lot of nose tackle. So he also was a guy that I think would be playing the 3 and the 4 technique, maybe a little bit of 5, but not a lot. So both of those players were guys that I think can make tackles for losses. They're not guys that are going to be great at the point of attack. They're at their best when they're using their athleticism and kind of knifing into the backfield. They do a great job of using leverage and pad control. But he's not a guy that I think you're going to talk about being all SEC next year. But, if he's a guy that can keep Texas from getting gashed in the run game, that if he can be a cog in this defense, then today the addition of him this morning will prove to be a pretty big deal on this defense, even if I don't think it's anything that we're going to get carried away with.
Well, Catch. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to pick Jason's brain over about Junior Day and everything that's around. Do you want to hang around for that, or you want to bounce and go ahead and get you ready to get your show started?
Oh, I got some things I got to do around the house. You guys hold it down. Good luck.
Right,
See you guys on the modcast a little later.
Appreciate you. Thank you. So, Jason, we just had Junior Day over the weekend. Texas picks up 2 commits, obviously, over the weekend. Give me your Junior Day breakdown as to what happened this week. Obviously, you were out there. Blake was out there, so freezing. You guys were freezing your butts off out there. So give me a breakdown of what happened over at Junior Day.
Hectic Junior Day, 2 commitments, which was probably more than I would have guessed going into the weekend, Anwar. It was freezing. It was funny because I talked about it a little bit yesterday, but how they do it, they had the players park at the intramural fields and they shuttled them back and forth to the football facilities. So we're hanging out at the parking lot of the intramural fields, interviewing. The bus would show up and we'd interview guys. And then it got so damn cold, man. Finally, Blake and I are like, let's go sit in the truck, turn the heater on, listen to the basketball game or listen to the Houston Texans game, and we'll hop out. We'd see a bus coming down the road. We're like, all right, time to hop out and freeze our butts off for a few minutes. But my biggest takeaway, obviously, are the 2 commitments, which we can talk about. Secondly, Anwar, were just the number of players that were brought in, dude. And it's not just the players, it's their little brothers and their coaches and their parents and trainers and whoever else. I mean, dude, like I showed up, I got down there, I don't even remember, around 11 o'clock. And I just kind of hung out around Moncrief, just kind of, just stalking, as people like to say, and see what's going on. And I saw the guys coming. It must have been a little after that because it's about noon at this point after I kind of hung out for a bit, but they were coming out of the Moody Center, walking at halftime of the game, walking back to the field house. And dude, it was just like, I mean, waves and waves and waves of these players kept coming. They were all escorted, like big groups of them. But obviously I didn't sit there and count them, but I mean, I'd have to guess there were probably 100+ players there. And then, probably 300-400 people total. So it was a big deal. It was a big event. A lot of good talent there.
And by the way, Jason, so we're clear, that's not just exclusively juniors, right? So there is some variation.
Sophomores, a couple freshmen. In fact, one of the commitments was from a sophomore. So it's a Junior Day. I guess technically you could call it an underclassman day or whatever you want to call it. But it was probably, I'm trying to think on where last year's was pretty big too. But this was probably the biggest I can remember in my 20-something years of covering junior days in terms of numbers of recruits. It was pretty massive.
Texas picks up 2 recruits. Give me your breakdown of each guy. Especially, I don't even know what to think about a running back that's class of, what is it, 2026? Is that what class he's in? Like, I don't even know. I don't even know where to start or finish with someone like that. Not that he's not talented. I just don't know how I'm supposed to pay attention for someone for the next 2 years. But give me your ideas and your thoughts and breakdowns on those 2 guys.
Yeah, he's got 2 seasons of high school football left, and he'll probably graduate early, but if not, he's got 2.5 years of high school left, right? So, Racine Guillory is the running back out of Aledo, and dude, like, I get it, like, I wrote about it in my 3-2-1, which you haven't read clearly, Anwar, but I just posted it like 30 minutes ago, so I'm just messing with you. But you should be reading that aloud while you're on the air. No, like, I wrote about that in my 3-2-1. I'm like, I get it. Fans weren't like doing backflips. First off, he committed Saturday night at 7:30, and the NFL playoffs are going on. Everybody's got other things going on. But dude, this is a guy, if you really sit down and watch his film and pay attention, this is a guy Texas fans should be really excited about. I think, Anwar, and maybe I'm crazy, but I think he'll be one of the top 10, top 5 players in the state of Texas in his class. And if he's top 5, that's going to put him in 5-star contention, 5-star consideration. I think he's that good as a sophomore. 1,200 yards, almost 9 yards a carry. He's kind of compact. Ketch made the comparison to Jaden Blue. Kind of similar body style, 5'9", 177, but really has a second gear to kind of get the corner and outrun defenses. I mean, he's a home run threat from 75 yards out. He's a guy that can take it to distance. So he's not a plotter by any means. I talked to him last night, and he said, "Hey, man, I just really fell in love with it when I got down there and talked to Sark." He did say, he goes, I got 2 years of school left. He goes, I'm going to keep the door open a little bit. He said coaching changes can happen, things can happen. Honestly, it's pretty smart process for him. But he said, "Hey, I grew up in a Texas household, man. We had burnt orange all over the house. My family's Texas fan." So he said this is kind of a dream come true for him. But normally Texas takes it pretty slowly. They don't push for commitments. I don't think they necessarily pushed for this commitment, but he's good enough, man. This is an easy take, even though, yes, he does have 2 years of school left. The other one that came out on Sunday morning, pardon me, actually happened on Saturday. We kind of heard about it Saturday. Lance Jackson, the defensive end out of Pleasant Grove in Texarkana. His brother Landon Jackson's a really successful player for Arkansas, started his college career at LSU, transferred to Arkansas, had a great year last year. This dude, first off, we had him at 6'5", 230, I think, 225 in the Rivals database. I was messaging with Lance last night. He said, "No, I'm 6'6", 260 now." So I mean, this dude, yeah, he's got an NFL frame, right, that easily projects to an NFL frame. A lot of schools wanted him as a tight end. Talked to him at one point about a tight end. I mean, if you watch his film, he's making plays as a tight end, both in the blocking game, and he's crazy athletic. I mean, he's high pointing the ball and over double coverage and outrunning defenders. I mean, this dude is a big, massive, tremendous athlete. He comes from really good bloodlines. I think his family was maybe athletes. I think his dad was a college ball player, maybe basketball. I love the pickup. Interestingly, I don't have my 3-2-1 pulled up, but the highest rating I've seen anybody have him, I think Ketch has him at 12 on his Lone Star Recruiting. Texags actually has him at 11 in the state of Texas. I'm talking. Most everybody else has him like in the 20s. I think those 20s are a miss, dude. I think he's going to climb everybody's rankings. Anwar, if you tell me, "Hey, I watched this film, I think he's going to be a top 5 player in the state by the end of this recruiting cycle," I wouldn't disagree with you. I think he's got that kind of upside with his frame. It's an incredible frame already in his athleticism. I think he's got a really high ceiling. So I'm not one to oversell. I mean, it sounds like I am. I get it. I'm speaking to a Texas audience. I feel like I'm pretty rational. Some people say I'm sometimes too negative, but dude, I really, really like both of these pickups by Texas.
I mean, Ketch said he's a future NFL player, right? So I think you're okay because he already took whatever you think you're saying about him. Ketch took it to another level. So People will remember that more so than anything else. So
well, his brother could have gone pro this year, and he does have a very similar profile to his brother, and he might even have a little bit higher ceiling than his brother. I mean, Landon Jackson decided to stick with Arkansas, but he was a legitimate NFL player if he'd come out this year, and he's got that similar type of profile, very similar.
Jason, you will not be able to go a week without someone asking you about Ryan Williams.
Yeah.
That it just is what it is. As long as he's out there, and look, Texas already picked up some commits, but I don't feel like you can say for sure that Sark's ever done in the portal nowadays. Like it just seems like he's really he's about that life. Anything new with Ryan Williams do we need to tell KJ Lacy to step it up over there in Alabama?
Yeah, this weekend will be big. So Ryan Williams, of course, decommitted from Alabama. I think it was the day Saban, I think it was like an hour after Saban announced his retirement. The early word, I've got a couple buddies who cover Alabama closely. So I reached out to them and they're like, hey, dude, Alabama feels like they're pretty much out of this one. Well, fast forward a couple weeks, they get Kalen DeBoer as their coach. Ryan Williams takes an Alabama unofficial visit last week. I think it was Monday of last week. Then he says, okay, I like what I'm hearing from the staff. I like what they did with their receivers at Washington. He took an official visit to Alabama last weekend. He hasn't commented publicly, but I did talk to, some Alabama people yesterday. Alabama, the people inside that Alabama football offices feel like they hit a home run on that visit. They feel like they're squarely in the mix. They said, whatever this means, I was told they threw everything at Ryan and his family. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means. If that means just showing him a bunch of love or NIL or what that means, but apparently they threw everything at him and his family. I don't know if I agree with this, Anwar. Call this third-hand reporting if you want, but people in Alabama feel like it may be an Alabama-Texas battle, which is interesting to me because I've always thought Auburn was the bigger threat.
But Auburn was always supposed to be in the mix.
Correct. And they're getting the last visit, so I'm not discounting Auburn by any means. And even the person that told me that said, you know what? He goes, that's what's coming out of people inside the football department. He said, I don't know if I believe it, but I'm just telling you that's how confident people inside the football department feel it may be Alabama or Texas. Interestingly, KJ Lacy, the Texas quarterback commitment, he wound up in Tuscaloosa last weekend as well with Ryan Williams. So that raised some red flags. I'm like, dude, KJ visits a lot of places. That's going to keep happening. They did not offer KJ Lacy, the new Alabama staff. So they said, hey, we're going to continue to monitor you this spring. He'll get an offer. You got to figure he'll get an offer. But they didn't offer him. So, I don't think you need to worry about KJ Lacy, not right now, flipping to Alabama. Now, where you might need to worry about that is if Ryan Williams does wind up recommitting and signing with Alabama, the new staff ultimately offers KJ Lacy, then you can start worrying about it. But as things start right now, he doesn't even hold an offer from the new staff. Of course, both of those guys are supposed to be in Austin this weekend. Ryan on an official visit. KJ is supposed to come on an unofficial visit to kind of hang out with his boys. So, yeah, you're right. You need KJ to step up his recruiting efforts, try to recruit Ryan Williams to Austin, which he'll do. But, Ryan's really keeping a tight lid on things. So I don't know that anybody has a clear read. And he's still got the Texas visit. He's still got the Auburn visit. So there's a lot of room for movement in this one. But, the rumor or the grapevine talk coming out of the Alabama visit was that Alabama is now squarely in the mix. And obviously Texas is. And I still think Auburn is too, despite some people think maybe Auburn is running third.
I mean, the thing is, if you explain the mentality to me, Jason, if a guy like KJ already has an offer by Texas and he's already committed to Texas, would it even move the needle for him? I'm imagining if you're telling me like, hey, we'll keep an eye on you and maybe we'll offer you in the future. That seemed to be like there would be a little bit of a turnoff at that point.
It's a little odd for a player of KJ Lacy's caliber. Now, they did just bring in a transfer quarterback. Honestly, I don't know what their needs are in that 2025 recruiting class. I'm assuming they need a quarterback, right? They lost Julian Sayin, transferred to Ohio State. They brought in a transfer, but I'm assuming they'll take a quarterback in their 2025 class. I don't know what their needs are or what they have right now. But yeah, KJ Lacy, I'll say this about KJ. He's a pretty rational kid, man. I mean, he probably gets it. Okay, you guys want to come see me throw in person, and then he'll get his offer at some point. But yeah, you would have thought he'd be the type, especially knowing his relationship with Ryan Williams, especially knowing that the previous staff was all over KJ Lacy. You thought that would just be kind of a rubber stamp offer, right? But apparently not. They want to watch him. I don't think it'll be a huge turnoff for KJ necessarily. And the other one to think about there, Omar's Auburn. Auburn's still involved very much with KJ Lacy and Ryan Williams too. So you've got kind of three schools here all battling for both players. Will they be a package deal? Will they divide up? I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts in this thing, and we'll see how the pieces fall together.
One of the last things I think I'll ask you, Jason, this is kind of a big picture, kind of philosophical kind of question, but we know Saban is left. We know that Jim Harbaugh is kicking the tires on the NFL. I think he's got another interview this week with the Chargers, right? And if Harbaugh goes, are we basically talking about Texas, Ohio State, Georgia being kind of the major players in recruiting going forward? I mean, we have to see what Bama does, and we have to see if the board can kind of keep that thing together, which is going to be really hard to do. If Harbaugh leaves, you got to expect that Michigan goes down a couple of notches. Does Texas does it almost become a 3-team race for all of the elite guys going forward?
Well, if you're talking the true juggernauts, I mean, Georgia's probably going to be number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State's going to be right there. And then, yeah, probably Texas. But, I mean, you got other schools like LSU's, they're off to a really fast start in 2025.
Yeah.
And they're going to be really good. But, I mean, who knows what, there's talk about Brian Kelly going to Michigan, so who knows? But, LSU is going to recruit really well. I think Florida State's a school you need to keep an eye on, with the success they had this year. They're in Norvell. They're going to recruit really well. USC is going to recruit pretty well. Schools like Oklahoma, Oregon, there's a handful of them. But if you're talking true, the recruiting juggernauts that are just a head and shoulders above everybody else, it's going to be Georgia. It's going to be Ohio State, although they're starting to lose a little bit of their shine, right? A little bit the last couple of years. And then, yeah, probably Texas. I mean, I would probably put those three schools year in and year out, the way things stand right now, depending on what happens with Michigan. But those three schools, are probably a little bit above the rest. I mean, Notre Dame's always going to recruit well. There's always going to be other schools. I mean, we've seen A&M jump up and have the number one class in the country a couple of years ago. So other schools are always going to recruit well. I would maybe probably put LSU as a fourth school in that mix. They seem to be kind of on the same trajectory as Texas with their recruiting. But yeah, I think Texas is in that top group as things stand right now for sure.
All right, Jason, you made it through, man. You did it.
I had to mute myself once or twice and cough into my hands, so not too bad.
All right, well, I'll see you on Slack, Jason. Thank you so much for
all right, Omar.
All right, Jason Sukumel, orangebloods.com. If you joined us late, go back and listen to the interview. And again, we got the everyone's trying to figure out how to say the name. Blake, one more time. Is it give us the name.
Tiaoalii Savea.
Tiaoalii Savea. This is what everyone will be. I need everyone to work on this today. Like, this is what it is. Now, look, if Ketch's prediction is correct, he won't play a lot, so you won't have to worry about it. But if he does become a breakthrough player, we may need to learn how to pronounce it. So there you go. Tiaoalii Savea is how you go. Tiaoalii Savea is the newest Longhorn, and we had a breakdown on that one as well. All right, guys, that's it for today. Make sure you join. Blake, you're going to put on the show schedule for today for me. At noon, you will have House Divided. Then at 2:00 will be the Crap Bag, followed by the Modcast at 4:00. I had to put it up there. I almost forgot about it. Modcast at 4:00 today. No outsiders tonight. So we got plenty of Longhorn topics for you on the channel. I will be back in front of you. Well, hell, this afternoon and, of course, tomorrow morning. And, of course, you guys can see the schedule for the rest of the week. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining. Remember what I always say, leave each day like it was your last, is when it will be. And I'll see you guys later on this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.